ruling class has to falsify reality, falsify history. It is a means by which the ruling class controls the oppressed, where the oppressed must necessarily find the truth. So to say that we make a distinction between the philosophy of the oppressed and the oppressor is because the oppressor has an objective interest, a real material interest in falsifying history. He cannot keep the people oppressed without doing that, whereas the oppressed must discover truth as a condition for winning freedom.
That was Chairman O'Malley speaking our African working class truth, explaining why we are engaged in a war of ideas to win our liberation, y'all. And before we get into the story of Black Power 96's radio's fight back against defunding, we want to hear a few words from Chairman O'Malley about the importance of Black Power 96 radio station.
In general, the right of Black people to express our opinions, to share and enjoy our culture. In general, this is something that is not appreciated, not approved of by the government, which is why there's only been just a handful of Black radio stations anywhere. And those Black radio stations, of course, ended up having to rely on money coming from white corporations and what have you. So that meant that they had to be careful what they said, of what they allowed to be said on those airwaves. So there's always been this attack, this restriction on the rights of Black people and to speak. This whole notion of Black people being able to speak without permission of the colonizers, without permission of the white man. I mean, when we think about the murder of Emmett Till, 1955, when he was at 14 years old, they based on the claim that he whistled at this white woman, which was an outlandish claim, but even if it were true, so what? But they murdered him, and this significance of that was much bigger than just than it was, I think, generally understood. It was part of the whole notion of intimidation against free speech, free expression coming from Black people. We don't have the right to freely express our views. And when I was growing up, there used to be one and then two radio stations in the general area. It was very hard to get a radio station. In fact, before this period, I mean, the radio music and what have you that I was familiar with was coming from white people. And so, you know, square dance type music, and they used to call it what it was, hillbilly music. Today they call it something like country and et cetera. But so just to have access to Black music was a very difficult thing. And this is something that's bigger than the African People's Socialist Party, or it's bigger than the Uhuru movement. It's bigger than APEDF. It is a major thing in terms of conferring or contributing to a sense of self-worth and dignity in the African community. People know their existence, they know that they exist and are valuable because that existence and value is reflected back to them and real things that happen in the world. They open the newspaper, they see their picture. I think there's a Burning Spear newspaper that helps to tell your story. You listen to music and you hear your life right there. You see it expressed. You have children who have now the ability to anticipate not only being DJs and entertainers and what have you, but actually how to manage and run radio stations and do things that go out and get the kinds of resources as a part of that process. It's just an extraordinarily institution that contributes to a community being able to experience its own value and to experience its own agency. It speaks for itself. That's a critical kind of thing for a colonized population.
Wow, wow. Again, y'all, that was Chairman Omali Yeshitela on the importance of this Black community radio station. And we just want to welcome everyone to this very special program. This is a very special one. And if you're watching over on YouTube, please make sure you hit that like and share buttons, and shout out to our listeners in St. Petersburg tuning in to 96.3 on your FM dial. I'm Dr. Mariah Bond, Black Power 96's promotion manager, and I'll be joined later in the program by our brilliant station manager, Mr. Eddie Maltzby. Black Power 96 is a small, independent Black community FM radio station in St. Petersburg, Florida, and is standing up in federal court for the rights of all media to exercise our First Amendment rights to freedom of speech, y'all. Freedom of speech and association without threats of defunding. And so the station's federal lawsuit against our local county government for the fair use of COVID relief grants also exposes all this racial discrimination experienced across the country, and we see going on everywhere, and the allocation of these public tax dollars in this case. So in this broadcast, y'all, we're going to hear from some very special guests. And we're talking about Luke LaRoe, and Luke LaRoe is an acclaimed First Amendment attorney. And Luke LaRoe is actually representing Black Power 96 in our appeal to the 11th Circuit Court. And he will explain the legal precedents and just be able to establish what this will establish in this actual case. So he will also be joined by attorney Rachel Ricks, who has also done just some brilliant work when it comes to Black Power 96's lawsuit, y'all. Then we also have Mimi Rosenberg, and Mimi is a longtime Pacifica radio host, and she's out of New York City, and it's New York City's community legal aid attorney work that she does there. And we really want to speak on the behalf of that Ida B. Wells Media Defense Network, and that's what she'll be here to let us know what's going on with that, y'all. And then we also have one of the Yahoo three. We have Jesse Neville here with us today, and Jesse was actually recently acquitted in the landmark First Amendment case, the case of that Yahoo three. And Jesse will be here to share how he fought and how they won, and just really address that importance of legal victories when it comes to this current era of increasing repression, y'all. So we hope that as you learn more about this important Fight Back campaign, you'll want to lend your financial support to our legal fund by donating at blackpower96.org/legal fund. That's blackpower96.org/legal fund. And we're going to begin our program, y'all, with a short video to introduce the story of Black Power 96's Fight Back. And thanks to our comrade Dylan for his great work putting this together. Let's check this piece out.
Black Power 96 is a small, independent Black community FM radio station in St. Petersburg, Florida. We are fighting a battle in federal court that, if we win, we will set case law precedent to protect the First Amendment rights to freedom of speech and association for all media institutions and individuals against the threat of defunding by those in power who seek to eliminate dissent.
Every day in the news, we read about another big media company or educational institution bowing to pressure and throwing their principles out the window.
Black Power 96 Radio is a small station with big impact, and we refuse to abandon our mission. We are a project of the African People's Education and Defense Fund, the baddest nonprofit on the planet.
Our mission is to defend the human and civil rights of the African community through our educational and cultural programming, to provide professional radio broadcasting training, and to promote economic development and self-reliance in the African community.
Black Power 96 Radio is a unique and an important institution serving the Black community of South St. Petersburg, where most residents live below the poverty level and commonly don't have internet in the home. During hurricane season, we broadcast life-saving preparedness tips and timely updates on shelter and transportation resources.
Well, Kidnapper Bay and Sarasota area. So again, we're going to get through this together, man. You and me.
Musical talent and economic initiatives to uplift our community. We provide free training and internships to local residents of all ages.
The station's weekly Local Going Global contest gives radio exposure to our talented unsigned musical artists, helping them build a fan base and get gigs and recording contracts.
In 2022, Black Power 96 applied for federal money from the American Rescue Plan Act that was being administered by the local county government. The ARPA money was supposed to assist groups and projects that had been negatively impacted by the COVID pandemic. the station asked for $37,000 to make equipment purchases that had been canceled after revenue was lost during and after COVID.
Black Power 96 application was ranked 4th highest of 55 applicants.
In November of 2022, Pinellas County Commission voted to approve our application.
In January of 2023, APEDF received a contract for the grant, signed it, and returned it.
In February of 2023, a newly arrived Pinellas County Commissioner, Chris Letvala, challenged Black Power 96's grant award. He slandered the African People's Education and Defense Fund by falsely claiming that our nonprofit ran candidates for office, which we do not, and which would have lost us our nonprofit status. He falsely charged us with anti-Semitism and that our nonprofit was under FBI investigation, which we were not. He said that the county should never provide funding to the African People's Education and Defense Fund.
The African People's Education and Defense Fund received money for radio station equipment.
Yes.
Was that for Black Power 96 in St. Petersburg?
Yeah, I think that is for their radio station.
According to their website, and that's the website of the African People's Education and Defense Fund, they're associated with the Ruhus in St. Petersburg.
5 days later, the county voted to revoke Black Power 96's $37,000 grant.
Florida has sunshine laws requiring government officials to be transparent and do their business in public view.
To get around this, commissioners communicate through staff and contractors to do their dirty deeds.
The county did not notify the African People's Education and Defense Fund nor the public that a motion would be introduced to revoke Black Power 96 grants. They hid their shameful act in the last obscure agenda item buried underneath the title, County Commission New Business.
Okay, and number 24 is the County Commission New Business, Pertinent Timely Committee Boards, Updates, and Policy Considerations. Let's start with Commissioner Latvala.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I actually have two items that I'd like to discuss. The first one is on Thursday, we talked about the ARPA funding, and I had some questions about that. And I would like to make a motion to revoke the funding for African People's Education and Defense Fund in the amount of $36,801 for a radio station, because I do not think that we should be funding radio stations with the amount of needs that there are in our community.
I second that. Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Latvala and seconded by Commissioner Flowers, and now we open for discussion.
At the following commission meeting, community members spoke out in support of the station.
I've grown up here and witnessed the gentrification of my city ever since I was in middle school. Walking around, I could see things being demolished right before my eyes. Black Power 96 has been serving the Black community for over half a decade now, providing vital public service announcements, news, and culture. I'm thankful and fortunate to be offered an opportunity at the radio station. As a programmer, as a program engineer for Black Power 96. However, I'm not the first student to work at Black Power 96. A group of Gibbs High School students got their start there with a radio show called No Class. And now, my comrade Ikwan works for Nielsen Media Group, which is a radio company. He's made it big, and I want to be able to do the same and see the same thing in my community. Thank you.
I'm a resident of St. Petersburg, Florida my whole life. I'm 52 years old. I was born and raised here. There's been nobody like Black Power 96 in this city ever. Nobody has done for the community what this station does for the community. Speaking as a local artist and an author, this station, they took my material and they actually put it out with no hassle. They got it to the people, they got the word out to the community that I had a book that was intentionally designed for incarcerated Black men to help us overcome these obstacles. This station has it just stood in the forefront for the Black community, and it's always been an eye-opener. It's a shame that they had to have these funds taken away from them after they have been granted. And the station really needs it, and the station can use it because it helps the community.
My name is Akila Anai, born and raised in St. Petersburg, Florida, and I'm the Director of Media and Communications for the Uhuru Movement. I'm here today as an outraged citizen of Pinellas County because of the recent decision by this commission to revoke the ARPA grant funds previously awarded to the APF radio station WBPU LP 96.3 FM, or famously known as Black Power 96. This vote came days after a commission meeting where commissioners slandered the Uhuru Movement, making baseless claims and accusations. Latvala and Flowers spearheaded this attack, and the rest of the commission followed suit with the assertion that no organization affiliated with the Uhuru Movement should be considered for funding. The Uhuru Movement, founded and led by Omali Yeshitela, has served the historically oppressed and impoverished Black community for over 5 decades, creating programs, institutions, and campaigns that defend the democratic rights of Black people. This commission cannot say the same. When our people were in need of a community center, a health and wellness program, free HIV testing, youth sports and other recreation, cultural centers, educational institutions, the Uhuru Movement provided them. It has been this movement that has fought long and hard for genuine economic development and reparations to our community, something that at every turn the government has worked to intervene and put a stop to.
The county ignored them.
Then, in April of 2023, the Pinellas Community Foundation, who had been contracted by the county to evaluate grant applications, released their results for the second round of ARPA funding. They again ranked Black Power 96 fourth highest of 79 applicants and recommended granting the station $67,000 for a backup generator.
The following month, following behind the scenes orders from the commissioners, county staff issued a recommendation to cancel 3 nonprofits, including Black Power 96, from the funding list because they didn't document a COVID-related economic impact or need. This was despite the fact that independent reviewers had praised Black Power 96 application for its clear demonstration of COVID impact and need.
The staff recommended giving the combined nearly $2 million in allocations for the 3 canceled nonprofits to Gulf Coast Jewish Family and Community Services, a nonprofit for which Renee Flowers, the commissioner who had most enthusiastically backed Latvala's motion against Black Power 96, had been employed up until her election to the county commission.
In June of 2023, they came up with a new reason to deny funding for Black Power 96 backup generator. Under pressure from county commission, the Pinellas County Foundation added a footnote to the recommendation list, stating they were, quote, concerned about the inability to isolate the applicant's project to the sole benefit of a 501c3 direct service nonprofit, which is required by the grant program guidelines, unquote.
No such concern was raised about the YMCA, which received millions in ARPA funding for facility construction and upgrades that will benefit any of the groups or individuals that rent space at the Y.
So on October 10, 2023, the African People's Education and Defense Fund filed suit in federal court, demanding restoration of all funding and charging Pinellas County with violating nonprofits' First Amendment rights to freedom of speech and freedom of association, as well with racial discrimination and denial of due process.
The county is spending vast sums of money on a high-powered private law firm to defend their unconstitutional acts. They filed a motion to dismiss with lies about the Uhuru Movement so egregious they were forced to strike and withdraw.
But a year later, Judge Barber dismissed the station's case.
This spring, the African People's Education and Defense Fund filed an appeal with the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals.
Oral arguments will be heard in this case in Jacksonville, Florida in the first week of November 2025.
The African People's Education and Defense Fund salutes the brilliant work of attorneys Luke Leroux and Rachel Riggs. When the cost of pursuing justice in this case became prohibitive for this small station, renowned First Amendment attorney Leroux offered to continue the case pro bono, declaring it too important to drop.
Now, Black Power 96 is simply needing to raise funds for the actual case cost of filing, printing, and travel. To support this small station fighting this big battle on behalf of everyone's right to dissent and justice, you can make a tax-deductible donation at blackpower96.org/legalfund.
And join us in court this November in Jacksonville.
Because at Black Power 96, we're not just explaining the world, we're changing it.
Wow, wow, wow. You heard it, y'all. You heard it. This movement has served an impoverished community now for 5 decades. Over 5 decades, y'all. The community, our community, something that at every turn the government has tried to just block and put a stop to. And you heard it, disqualified for doing what we are supposed to do. So come on, y'all. We're not taking that. And we're fighting back in this big battle on behalf of everyone. So come on now and support our community. And that's right, we want to raise $2,000 in our program tonight to cover the cost of the appeal that was filed, leading to that victory in the 11th Circuit Court's decision to hear our oral arguments for why our case should be allowed to go forward. So please, as you hear from all of the guests tonight, our special guests, go to blackpower96.org/legal fund and give generously. That is blackpower96.org/legal fund. So I now want to bring on Black Power 96's station manager, Mr. Eddie Malsby, the world's hardest working man in radio and the world's bestest blind DJ. Welcome, Mr. Eddie. You've been leading this fight back for over 2 years now. And is there just anything that you'd like to add that we just seen, we saw what was going on here? What would you like to add to that? Until we're able to get Mr. Eddie on the line, we just want to keep on reminding the importance of this fight here. And we're asking you to go to that blackpower96.org/legal fund to make sure you're supporting the community, your community, our community, y'all. So here we have him, Mr. Eddie. Mr. Eddie, welcome.
Good evening, Mariah. Good evening. I'm sorry about the technical difficulty, but I'm just proud to be here, and I want to thank you for this presentation. And I just want to comment on the video. What a powerful presentation that was. I think that video should be just seen all across the country and around the world, because it summed up exactly why we are here and what we need to do to move forward in this lawsuit. This lawsuit is just not for BP 96. I want to make that very clear. This lawsuit is not just about a radio station. This lawsuit is about people, everyday citizens, African people, Black people. Freedom of speech is what this country was built on and supposed to be ran on. But when you speak out against this or that, or they want to associate you with this person or that organization or this country, you get, you get the attack. And that's just what they have done to attack Black Power 96. It is just, again, it's just not for us. This is for a community. This is for kids, children, grandchildren. This is for our future. Anyone that's not behind this is just simply blind, DJ Eddie. And I'm 100% blind, but I don't see nothing, but I feel everything. And I feel what they've done is a retroceeding. It's just no way that we should even be in court with this. No way we should be in court with this. If they approve the grant, then we should go forward in giving the grant. How would they like for someone to just give you something and take it back? No one does that. No one likes and appreciates being given something and taken away from you. And especially it goes even deeper than that, because when Black Power was given this grant and told they were giving a grant, as station manager, I was ready to go ahead and present this contract to other merchants to say, we have been approved. Can you give us this? And then they turn around in the ninth hour, which they would say in the Christian world, in the ninth hour, to rescind the grant. How did they not know that we didn't take that letter and present it to another organization or another company to say, I need access because I'm 100% blind, so I can hear what computers are saying to me, what AI might be presenting, and maybe I want to hear it or not, but I need that weapon to use here, or the tool to use here at BP 96. So who's to say that I didn't go willing to go to another merchant and say, this is proof that we were approved $37,000. This is proof that we were approved $67,000. And then giving all this equipment into this station, and then now we have to uproot and give back and maybe pay money out of our own pocket. So this is just not about BP 96, as I mentioned earlier. It's all about freedom of speech, freedom of association, freedom to be a Black man in America. And if they want the American states government want Black people to abide by any of this system, then they have to come correct. They can't do what Balafia and Flower said in that report we just saw. Again, I want that report to be out in the world everywhere. Everybody should see this, and everybody should donate and be a part of this campaign.
Everybody, and thank you so much, Mr. Eddie. And I just want to just remind our listeners and our viewers that, like I said, you've been leading this fight back now for over 2 years, and you joined Mr. Eddie in this fight back. And we're just asking everyone, you heard the importance there. You heard him. We have to do it for ourselves. Something that was given, something that was taken back, but no, we're not going to allow that to happen. And so we're asking for your contributions here at blackpower96.org/legal fund. And like I said, your contributions, may I add, are tax deductible, and they are an investment, y'all, in a future where everyone, you heard Mr. Eddie, this is not just for Black Power 96, this is for everyone, for our community, for everyone, our freedom of speech to associate freely, and for that whole, just the Black community to be able to have that fair access to the resources needed and to achieve what we need, and that is self-determination and what justice. So just looking at those donations coming in, and thank y'all so much. They are coming in. We want to give some thank yous here to Lisa out in Minneapolis. We want to thank you for that $100 donation. Sandy over in Olympia, Washington. Wow, $25 donation. We have Becky, we're seeing over in Minneapolis, also another $20 donation. Maureen over in St. Louis. Wow, $100 here, y'all. Thank you so much. We have Alec AJ over in St. Louis here. We have $50 there. My goodness, there's Staley coming in. And thank you. Like we said, head over to that blackpower96.org/legal fund to keep those donations coming in. And just a few minutes here, we'll be joined by our brilliant attorneys, as we mentioned, Attorney Luke LaRoe and Attorney Rachel Ricks, to discuss some of the legal issues and plans that we take to win this case, y'all. But first, we want to bring on Mimi Rosenberg, a longtime Pacifica radio host and New York City community legal aid attorney. Black Power 96 is a Pacifica affiliate station, for those of y'all that don't know, and we have really received a lot of warm support from all of our sister community stations in this fight, and independent broadcasters, journalists from all across the United States, y'all. And Mimi is one of these initiators of a new group that has actually formed in response to this growing US-wide government attacks on what? Independent community media. And this group is called the Ida B. Wells Media Defense Network. So welcome, Mimi, and please tell our audience what this group is about and your views on Black Power 96's case here.
Well, first of all, I have to say, y'all fired me up. Can't take no more, won't take no more. Brilliant, brilliant, Eddie. Brilliant Mariah introduction. And my goodness, what a video. Well, I want to say the Ida B. Wells Media Defense Network is a new coalition of media workers and supporters united to defend free media and political speech, essential to all liberatory organizing, yet increasingly under attack. We're drafting a pledge of resistance, an orchestra of voices rejecting political retribution disguised as regulation. We repudiate extortionist lawsuits, ideological purges, funding clawbacks, FCC intimidation, and prosecutions under laws like the Espionage Act and the Foreign Agents Registration Act, the Immigration and Nationality Act, never meant to police speech, but now weaponized to suppress it. We defend institutions like Black Power 96.3 FM. Fired up, can't take no more. A project of the African People's Socialist Party, which empowers the Black community through radical programming and media training and cultural expression, even as it's targeted by efforts to dismantle any remedy to historic racism by rejecting DEI and equity frameworks. We honor Ida B. Wells because she showed us journalism isn't neutral. It's resistance. When her friends were lynched for running a Black-owned business, she exposed the truth. The state responded with persecution, burning her newspaper, threatening her life, forcing her into exile, but never, never into silence. Her legacy is our foundation, and we will challenge attempts to distort, to punish, or erase dissent. We will protect the voices that speak truth to power. When liberatory media is under attack, what do? We'll fight back. We are building a national rapid response network to defend the integrity and political positioning of radical media. Black media has always been more than information. It's been survival, strategy, and sanctuary. From the Chicago Defender smuggling news into the South, to the Black Panther newspaper organizing block by block, to pirate radio broadcasting survival strategies in real time, Black media has been a mirror, a megaphone, a map to liberation. And that's why it's always been under attack. During McCarthyism, Black journalists like Paul Robeson, who founded and published Freedom newspaper, and Lorraine Hansberry, who wrote for Freedom magazine, they were branded subversive for challenging racism and supporting anti-colonial movements. During COINTELPRO, the FBI infiltrated Black media networks and targeted truth tellers like Mumia Abu-Jamal. Gil Nobles, like it is, dared to center Black liberation and support Palestine. When ABC tried to cancel it, the community protested fiercely to defend his legacy. Well, today, the tactics have evolved, but the goal remains: kill the signal. Palestinian voices are shadow banned. Black journalists are laid off. Community radio is defunded. Algorithms bury dissent. And under Trumpist fascist resurgence, political speech is criminalized, protest is surveilled, and radical media is labeled a threat. It's not just media. It's curriculum. Black studies programs are being dismantled. The College Board gutted AP African American studies. DEI programs are being eliminated across institutions. The message is clear. Any effort to repair harm or center marginalized voices is now framed as a threat to merit and neutrality. This is not just about control. It's about domination. It's about erasure. But we know political speech is not a luxury. It's a weapon. It's a lifeline. That's why we pledge to defend Black Power 96.3 FM and all media rooted in self-determination. Because when they silence Palestine, they silence Ferguson. When they censor Gaza, they censor Atlanta. When they erase resistance, they erase us. We will not let them. We pledge to resist. We pledge to amplify. We pledge to build a media we need to win. And again, my comrades here have instructed and informed us, and certainly Ida B. Wells, what else could we do but say, what do we do when we're under attack? Fight back, fight back, support this invaluable station. It is all of our liberation potential. So I thank you, and I'm honored to be with this extraordinary group of people who are showing us the way. Again, media is liberatory when it's in the hands of 96.3 Black Power radio. So
Thank you so
thank you, my
much.
dear comrades.
Thank you so much, Comrade Mimi. Thank you so much. You heard it, Mimi Rosenberg, y'all, with Ida B. Wells Media Defense Network, and you heard that importance of the fight back and the fight back of coming together for the community that is our community, y'all. And this case is just taking a lead here because Black Power 96 Radio is not just really surrendering to this censorship and the discrimination that we face across times, y'all. And if you haven't yet, please help us by going over to blackpower96.org/legal fund to just give what you can, y'all. Give generously here because, like I said, it is a community for us. So we just want to look at some of those donations coming in. They're steadily coming in. We want to just add and thank you all. We have our director, Akile, there out of St. Pete there that donated $50 pledge there. Thank you so much there. And Terry Conley there came in with a $25 cash app, and they're steadily coming in, y'all. And we say go over to that blackpower96.org/legal fund and give till you can't. All right, so we just want to just give a really, 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 really good amount of attention here and just a level of excitement to bring on our attorneys, Luke LaRoe and Rachel Ricks here. And Luke LaRoe is actually an acclaimed First Amendment attorney representing Black Power 96 in our appeal to the 11th Circuit Court. And Rachel Ricks is also a brilliant First Amendment attorney standing right there who has contributed so much to this case, y'all, researching the case and just looking at case law and working on all these legal briefs. We want to give a big welcome here. And attorneys Luke and Rachel, just come on now and welcome here and let us know first, why did you decide to take on this case?
Well, I'd be remiss not to comment on Mimi's inspirational presentation and the absolutely outstanding introduction. That was so well done that it is absolutely excellent. Really, really well done. Captures the essence of this case. And that's why we got involved. We felt that this was an important case, and certainly Mimi's summary of the recent attacks on the First Amendment rights of everyone across the board really show how important this is. We got involved thinking that this would be an important case for our community, for the APEDF, and what we felt was basically political action that just, I hate to put it in these terms, but it just didn't pass the smell test. It was ridiculous. It was done under pretense. And quite honestly, the one thing that I really like about this case is when they took away the first grant under unfinished business, well, we're letting them know we've got a lot of unfinished business to take care of. We're not going to quit, and we're absolutely going to fight this out. The issue, and I've been a member of the First Amendment Lawyers Association for well over 35 years. I started in the 80s. I actually was president back in 2000. And I work with those gentlemen and ladies across the board. They know how important this case is. They often inquire as to how we're doing. The timing of this case, the political pretext under which the funding was taken away was infuriating, inappropriate. The work that APEDF does and the radio station and the services that it provides to the community is so critically important. It's educational, it's artistic. It's all based on life-affirming benefits to people that deserve it as much as anyone on the planet. And for the government to say, well, you're in the Uhuru House, and I can pronounce it correctly, unlike our friends in government, they have this case going on and they're being pursued. And it just seemed to take on this absolutely content-based, associational-based desire to do us harm. And quite honestly, whenever I've been faced with a case where I felt people were being treated inequitably or that there was some violation of someone's First Amendment rights, whether that be a priest, a cop, an exotic dancer, anybody, I always felt that the neutral application of those principles deserved the highest standard of my effort. And I've had a lot of good success in those cases, but I'll be honest with you, this to me is one of the most important, most critical efforts that I've ever been involved with, because it's at the cutting edge now. Since this case was decided and since the misdeeds were committed to take away the funding, that there was a contract to give you, certainly in the first round, They already gave us a contract. Out of the scores of applicants, we scored higher than just about 90% of the people that file these applications. And now there's a problem with that because we can't associate that with some kind of nonprofit effort. Not buying it. Not true.
Wow.
And quite honestly, I was really disappointed. And I know that our lower court judge, I know him personally. I just felt that he was somewhat affected by the fact that there was that other criminal prosecution going on that I also felt was a direct violation of the First Amendment. So there just seemed to be all of these political complexities undermining what anybody with two eyes, or, and with all due respect to our DJ, the ability to think things through clearly, regardless of your ability to see. How hard is it to understand that this was absolutely based on the association that was perceived that the APEDF had with the Uhuru movement? That's associational. You have the right to be associated with different organizations, no matter how controversial they are, no matter how challenging or progressive or different their viewpoints may be, no matter what their policy is, no matter what their statement of utility is. You've got the right to do what you want in this country based on the First Amendment. And we felt that this pretext that they used to take away this funding, and again, without even giving us the warning that they were going to consider that, to give us the ability to confront them at a public hearing was not only reprehensible, but unconstitutional. And we felt that it would be our privilege to go ahead and pursue this. Now, as you can well listen to Mimi, this was at the beginning. This goes back a couple of years. Since then, the assaults on the First Amendment have picked up such incredible momentum as to shock the conscience. And it just gets worse and worse. I mean, you try to get rid of a late night talk show host so that you can try to make sure that you get a deal cemented by the government. Then they take away the funding for PBS because they don't like the fact that PBS criticizes the government decisions openly, government officials openly, and political speech that quite often is based on the truth, if not always. It's the pursuit of the truth that the First Amendment is here to protect. And to see it take the beating that it has with university speech and different kinds of commercial efforts across the board, we need to all work together to protect it. And, I am so grateful to be able to participate in this case, which is such a critical component of that fight. I can't thank you enough for the privilege of being involved in this. And again, my privilege to work with all of you, especially my privilege to work with Rachel. Rachel's only been an attorney for a couple of years, but her instincts are impeccable and her heart's in the right place. And she knows that when it comes down to the First Amendment, that's what makes this country different. That's what makes it better than any place else on the planet. And the fact that we have the ability and the privilege of helping to protect that in the context of this case, we are very grateful, very grateful. Now, I will pass it on to Rachel, but I just want to make the point that you made very well. These cost money to put together. You got to take them and print them. The binding that you have to use, that costs money. To get hotel rooms to go up and give an oral argument, that costs money. We're not asking for any specific favor, but we're asking for a commitment to show that we're all together in this fight. And if you have a dime or a dollar or just a happy thought to share with us, that makes a big difference. But we need the support of the community for the services that are provided by the APDF and the radio station for the benefit of the community. That was one of the most interesting aspects of this case, is that the services provided, the artistic, the cultural, the support, the emergency broadcasts that were brought around that would be facilitated by the money that was going to be generated through the award of these grants. It wasn't going to go to anything but the benefit of the community. And to have it taken away in the context in which it was taken away is just, it's absolutely sinful, unconstitutional, insane. So I just want to be able to, again, close out by saying what a privilege it is to work with you, what a privilege it is to work on such an important case. And quite honestly, it's been our absolute pleasure to work with everyone that has supported us and work with you. work with us through your community. It's just wonderful. And I'll let Rachel say what she'd like to say at this point.
Yeah, I mean, how do you top that? That was just amazing. And the video was amazing. It was such a great showing of what we've done in this case and all of the evidence that we have to support it. And we do feel such a privilege to work on this case. I specifically really wanted to work on this case because it seemed to go against our country's core values and our First Amendment to have the government not deny a benefit just because you have a certain viewpoint or you're associated with some other person. And so that really meant a lot to me that we're here fighting this fight alongside you guys. And we really care about upholding our Constitution, upholding these rights, and being able to have everyone have a viewpoint, everyone be able to have an association with someone else and not have the government limit you or silence you. And I think that was very, very important and one of the biggest reasons I wanted to get into this case. And I just appreciate being on here and I appreciate speaking about this. And thank you so much for putting this together.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Attorney Rachel, and thank you so much, Attorney Luke. I do want to ask, just for the sake of time, we're going to ask, we have some legal questions we see coming in on our chat from our audience here. Do you both mind sticking around about 20 minutes or so, just in case we can get some time to come back and respond to them?
We would love to stick around and answer any questions anybody may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for so much all the work you do here. And thank you, as you both said, it is for the community. And thank you for doing something for the community, and a community that has been stepped on, a community that has been silenced. And like you guys, we keep saying over and over again, we're not taking it this time. And thank you both, Attorney Luke and Rachel, for that fight back here. Thank you for your support. So we will look at here and just look at, before we welcome our last guest, Jesse Neville, we want to share a 2-minute clip here from our respected journalist, Glenn Greenwald, himself also an attorney, who made an important statement when several universities came under threat of being defunded.
Once the federal government or any government decides to offer a benefit that's optional, it doesn't have to provide it, but it decides it's going to, it cannot then condition receipt of that benefit on you're expressing a particular view, you're affirming a particular view, or you're refraining from expressing a political view. This is basic First Amendment doctrine. Yet all these people defending the Trump administration's attack on these universities for allowing anti-Israel protesters saying, oh, obviously it's not a First Amendment violation to deny federal funding of a university because the government doesn't have to provide funding to universities in the first place. It's true, the federal government doesn't have to provide funding to universities. But once it decides to do so, it cannot then punish the universities by withdrawing that funding only for universities that allow a particular view to be expressed or a particular type of protest to take place and not any other. That is a clear violation of the First Amendment. There was an effort to say any news outlet, public media company that gets federal funding has to refrain from editorializing about anything. The minute they try to editorialize about something, they lose their federal funding. The Supreme Court said that's unconstitutional as well. That's because once you offer a benefit, you can't then deny that benefit as punishment for a particular view.
Wow. Yeah. Once you are given that benefit, you can't come back and deny it. And you heard that. And just as you heard our attorneys, Luke and Attorney Rachel mentioned, this fight is a precedent, y'all, but this fight isn't free. And this fight costs. So you heard him. As far as that travel, as far as those legal fees, as far as all the filings, it takes funds there, and it takes funds to fight back. And thank you for joining in and helping us on that fight. And as we mentioned, head over and keep it coming with those donations. So moving on here, and we are so very excited to welcome our next guest here. Our next guest is Jesse Neville, one of the Uhuru Three. And Jesse actually recently was acquitted on the primary charge in this landmark First Amendment case, involved in their own appeal over on the 11th Circuit in an overturn to this bogus conviction in this secondary charge. So he is actually the charge. Jesse is the chair of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement and organizing white reparations to the Black community. We want to welcome you, Chair Jesse.
Uhuru Mariah, thank you so much. It's a great honor to be here.
And Jesse, you have been involved in a 3-year fight back now, a fight back campaign against these federal criminal charges revolving around the Uhuru movement's exercise of what? Anti-colonial free speech. And you are also currently working towards enrolling in law school, we've heard. So, I mean, just what lessons from this whole Uhuru 3 anti-colonial free speech trial and appeal do you think can be applied to Black Power 96's fight back against this unconstitutional defunding?
Thank you so much, Mariah. And again, I'm really, really honored to be a part of this discussion tonight. And this has been an incredibly powerful event. I want to salute you. I want to salute the leadership of Director Akile Anai and DJ Eddie Maltzby, Station Manager Eddie, the brilliant attorneys Luke Leroux and Rachel Ricks, as well as Mimi Rosenberg and everybody involved in this fight back. And as you mentioned, Mariah, I have the honor to represent the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, the organization of white people who work under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party and Chairman Omali Yeshitela, who we deeply salute the leadership of the chairman as well as Deputy Chair Onezene Yeshitela, who provide us the leadership to go out and organize in the white community for reparations to African people. And I think this discussion is so important because, as has been made very clear throughout this entire event, including that very brilliant video, the attack on Black Power 96 and the US government's attack on the Uhuru 3 both have the same goal, which is to deny the agency of African people to speak in their own voice and to define their own movement for freedom and independence, to try to silence the voice of African people, to try to censor and smother and destroy independent voices of the African working class, and in the process, to destroy the First Amendment itself. And one of the things the chairman said from the very beginning of the Uhuru 3 case, where the US government came in with FBI military-style raids and attacked his home, the home of himself and Deputy Chair Onezene Yeshitela, as well as the home of Penny Hess, the Uhuru Solidarity Center, the Uhuru House in St. Petersburg, Florida, and other locations. The chairman said that the attack on the Uhuru movement, both with the attack on the Uhuru 3 and the attack on Black Power 96, were the canary in the coal mine. It was a new era of intensified repression of political speech, in particular anti-colonial speech, that the US government was bringing in, beginning with its attack on the Uhuru movement. And that has absolutely come to be proven in the last several years, as attorney Luke Leroux and others have spoken about. The escalation of attacks on dissent and free speech have absolutely intensified. And you've seen, as Glenn Greenwald was just talking about in that clip, the particular tactic of using the revoking of funds to punish and attempt to undermine the ability of an organization or an institution based on its political views is something that is happening more and more now. And it started with the Pinellas County Commission's attack on Black Power 96. Everything we're seeing right now with the attacks on public media, with the attacks on universities, with the revoking of funds being used as a weapon to silence speech, it's based on the model of what the Pinellas County Commission has attempted to do to Black Power 96. And that's why this fight for independent African media is the critical fight for freedom of speech in this period, for anti-colonial freedom of speech. Black Power 96 is carrying all of us on their shoulders when they make this battle. And that's why it's so important for people to donate, to contribute to the legal funds and all of the expenses involved in waging this battle. And when you talk about the lessons to be applied, I think, they're all of the lessons that we learned from Chairman Omali Yeshitela, who was the main strategist of the entire fight back against the attacks on the Uhuru 3, and lessons which are being applied in this very discussion that we're having right now. The number one thing that the chairman taught all of us, including the brilliant legal team that carried out the fight back for the Uhuru 3, was that this attack was a political attack being carried out under the color of law. The chairman was the main target of this attack. Penny Hess, the chair of the African People's Solidarity Committee, and myself were also indicted as part of the attack on the chairman and on the African liberation movement, specifically to undermine their strategy of organizing white people to be in solidarity with the struggle for African liberation. The indictment against the chairman in the Uhuru Three, it wasn't even just false, it was slanderous. It was white nationalist. It was based on this foul assumption that African people would somehow need Russians or anyone else to tell them to struggle for their freedom and for their liberation. And the US government, based on this absurd lie, tried to put the chairman and the Uhuru Three in prison for up to 15 years and impose fines that would have ultimately amounted to $500,000 for each of the Uhuru Three. But the Uhuru movement, under the chairman's leadership, fought back relentlessly, launched a counter-offensive, built the anti-colonial free speech movement, packed the court every single day, and the US government lost on the main charge. And the judge at the sentencing on the illogical and inconsistent conspiracy conviction, which we are now appealing, was forced to say that everything that the Uhuru Three did was political speech. And as the chairman said that day, the only reason the judge was able to say that is because the Uhuru movement fought back and won. So that's the most important lesson that we've had the honor to learn and to see, that the African working class, when the African working class fights back, the African working class wins. And when the African working class wins, the people win. And that's something that, just gives so much significance to the struggle for Black Power 96, the struggle for independent African media, and the First Amendment. And I'll just close this by saying, one of the most important things I think the chairman has pointed out is that when the First Amendment was written, African people were enslaved. So it makes perfect sense that the vanguard of the fight for free speech today would be those same African people who never truly had the right of freedom of speech in this country to begin with. So everybody who believes in free speech should find themselves rallying behind Black Power 96. When those oral arguments happen in November, we all have to be there to stand with Black Power 96, to stand with freedom of speech for African people, and to stand with independent African media.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much there, Chair Jesse. Thank you for that explanation. And thank you there for highlighting how this is for all media entities. This is for everyone. And this is setting something there that, just from that legal perspective, this is a law precedent setting case. And when it comes from a political organizer's perspective, such as yourself, you mentioned just that importance of standing up and fighting back and coming together. And thank you for that there. And we do want to ask Mr. Eddie, did you want to jump in with any thoughts here? Until we get Mr. Eddie back on the line with us, Chair Jesse, like I said, when it comes to this just coming together, like you said, it's something that we see happening over and over and over again. And this fight back, it takes us all. It takes every part of the community, and it takes that solidarity. And we do want to salute you there for leading that and leading that movement there. Thank you so much. All right, Mr. Eddie, there we go.
Yes.
Did you have any thoughts for that you wanted to add here?
Yes, I just want to first of all appreciate the stance of Luke LaRoe and Rachel, who are taking this case over pro bono, and after they know the importance of freedom of speech, and the attack has just been going on everywhere. I want to thank everybody a part of this, and also got a Lisa, you can put it maybe in the chat, a $25 check donation. You'll see that in a little bit, Lisa. But just want to appreciate that stance from Luke LaRoe, how powerful that was, to say how important this fight is. It's just not about, again, the radio station. It's about the honor of the government, the state. I think Rachel said it also. It's appalling to know that this government was created on freedom of speech, but yet it's a buildup and a powerful entity and attack that is going on against public stations, public radio, every type of media that is being attacked. Is the media that is really putting out a different narrative than the government. And that's where the attack is coming from. And I just wanted to add that and say how important it is to have Conrad's Chairman Jesse Neville, who was here in St. Pete at one time, rant for mayor here in St. Pete and under here in St. Pete, and he just knows the importance of fighting for African people. That's why he joined the solidarity movement under the leadership of Chairman O'Malley Satella, also my leadership. And I just want to say that it's important that people donate now. Like I said, just $25 just came in at the station here, but we need a lot more. Of course we do. And the fight for freedom has always came at a price, financially, physically, mentally, and spiritually. So no matter what, how we're going to fight, we have to fight with every means of support that we have. And that's why I said that for all people everywhere. We're not just fighting for African people, freedom of speech tax Mexicans, freedom of speech tax everyday American citizens. That's why you should be involved in this fight. That's why you should support this mission. It's not just for a Black man. This is for all mankind, not just a Black man. Freedom of speech, it goes to where if they take the freedom of speech away in any incident, I don't care where you are, in school, in a hospital, wherever, you have to have the right to stand up for yourself and say what you want to say. Chairman has said it best. You have the right to speak just as well as they have the right to listen. They don't have to agree, but they have to allow you to speak. And that's what we're fighting for, freedom of speech. Just wanted to say that. And thank you all who wants to donate. Please donate now. Important that you do that at blackpower96.org/legal fund. You will not make another better donation than freedom of speech. You're
Thank you so much, Mr. Eddie. Thank you so much. And you heard him there. You will not make a better donation. So head over at blackpower96.org/legal fund. And we just really have to salute here just the support that's coming in, y'all. And we have to raise this $2,000 to, and if we haven't gotten there just yet, but head over at blackpower96.org/legal fund to keep them coming in. And just so far, we can say that there is $1,665 raised, y'all, during this show. And we only have $335 to go, and we can do this. We can do this. Give it anything you can, y'all. Give anything, whether it's $5, whether it's $500. Just give what you can for this station that is this fight back that is for our community, and not just for this station. This is for all of us, y'all. And when it comes to just some of those donations coming in, let's take a look there. Wow, steady rolling in. I can see that we have MQ out of Florida with a $25 donation. We have Fanicky Ware there out of San Francisco with $200. Wow, y'all. We have Jamal there with a $25 donation. Chairman Amali himself and owner Zane Yeshitella out of St. Louis with $500 supporting this here. $500. Thank you so much there. And then also, as the APEDF president, owner Zane Yeshitella is contributing from APEDF another $500. Come on, y'all. $500. Wow. And Jamal out of Moorhead, Minnesota is giving us $10. Thank you so much there, Jamal. We have Lutz, Florida, gone with $25 there. And then Sheila out of New York with $10. They're steadily coming in, and we're almost at that goal of $2,000. Head over to that blackpower96.org/legal fund to keep them coming in, y'all. So we just want to say here that when it comes to Black Power 96, you keep hearing it. This community station is 100% funded through donations, y'all. 100% funded through donations from our listeners and our supportive businesses and people like you. People tuning in now, you power the institutions like Black Power 96. So keep those donations coming in, y'all. You can head over at blackpower96.org/legal fund, or you can send via Cash App to $Black Power 96. Keep those donations coming in. You can also send in a check at Black Power 96 at 1245 18th Avenue South, St. Petersburg, Florida at 33705. And also keep it going over at that blackpower96.org/legal fund. So as you know, today's event, we are raising funds for the Black Power 96 Radio Legal Fund so we can win this struggle for our rights to freedom of speech. Freedom of speech, our rights and your rights, y'all, and political association so that we can tell the truth, something that we've been doing now for over 5 decades. The truth about what is happening in our community. So Black Power 96's goal is to raise that $2,000 in donation today to go towards that legal fund. So to cover this cost of this waging fight back, y'all. So please support there at blackpower96.org/legal fund. And we again salute the firm of Attorney Luke LaRoe for doing this hard work, y'all, on this case pro bono. So we want to and need from all of you, our First Amendment defenders, today is to help us pay for these court fees. The printing, the shipping, you saw it, the travel involved, just all that waging in this important precedent-setting case. And we are calling for donations from all of you. Those tuning into this program, come on and share and let them know that we need this support. And you make your donation today, and we will announce it on the air. So you can donate online at blackpower96.org/legal fund, or you can also donate via Cash App, and you can send $ Black Power 96. And as we mentioned, those checks over at Black Power 96, you can mail them in at 1245 18th Avenue South in St. Petersburg, Florida at 33705. If you don't already listen to Black Power 96 Radio, you can tune in now at 96.3 FM in St. Pete, Florida, or you can listen from anywhere on the planet at blackpower96.org, or also at our Black Power 96 mobile app available on the App Store and in Google Play, y'all. So Black Power 96 will send a thank you to everyone that donates today. So keep those donations coming in. And we just really want to thank the sustaining members of Black Power 96. And these are those members who donate each and every month and to provide this station with a stable base of support. And we also want to shout out to all of our supporting members who contribute generously during our July fund drive. And there's just really too many to name right now. I just really want to give thanks to that support. So we just want you to know that we appreciate every contribution here, no matter how big or how small, they really make a difference and just really want to see. So let's see how we're doing now. Our fundraising goal during today's event for this legal fund. Let's see what we have here. We still have them coming in. And like I said, we're right there. We want to reach that 2,000 goal, y'all. And we're right there at $335 left. Give $5, give $500, just give it what you can, y'all. This is a community station for you. And this is a fight back, not for just Black Power 96. This is for all media. This is for all community media there. So support this case and this fight back. So let's not let those donations stop, y'all. And you've been tuning in, you can just really see the importance here. You've been tuning in, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, you can please forward and share this program, subscribe, like, share, all that stuff. This program will continue to be available for viewing on all those platforms. So keep those donations coming in, y'all, and share those with your friends. And First Amendment defenders, come on, y'all. Come along with the supporters of this anti-colonial free speech fight back, a free speech fight back for everyone. And you can continue to donate to our legal funds. And just as we mentioned, that legal fund is for this fight back. That's not just for Black Power 96, y'all. This is for everyone in this precedent-setting case here. And we just want to just give you, got another donation here steadily coming in from our Frank for, oh my goodness, Frank for $25. Oh goodness here. So I want to just keep those coming in and just stay tuned. And like we said, this program will stay up. So just because we're away now, don't mean that those donations need to stop coming in, because that fight back is coming, y'all. And we need your help there. We just need $310 more to meet this goal, that goal of $2,000 to help support this fight back in the case, y'all. So we want you to stay tuned. And if you can, join us in Jacksonville, Florida for our oral arguments in November. And we want to thank everyone for participating, everyone for tuning in this important fight back today, y'all. And we want you to keep listening to and supporting Black Power 96 Radio.
just missed it, but it's all.